Good morning, El Paso. Good morning, friends. This is Jud Burgess. It's Thursday, and I'm on Facebook Live. I want to talk to you about something that's been front and center on the El Paso news scene, and that would be, no surprise, the El Paso Sports Arena Fustercluck. From the very beginning, I think we all knew that this was going to be one of the biggest issues, if not the biggest issue, on Mayor Margo's plate once he was elected mayor. And it turns out that's the case. I mean, no surprise again. It's obvious that this is something that was going to be a huge issue for El Pasoans, and the longer that the arena is out, the worse it gets. Okay? So I want to talk a few things about what's been going on. Of course, we all know that Max Grossman and Bryan have put out another set of options that the city could, agree to, so that we can get out of this litigation fustercluck that they've been subjecting the city to. And by they, I mean, Mayor Margo, city administration, and Carla Neiman. Mayor Margo's choice, perfect choice for city attorney, who basically does whatever he wants at his whim. And so let's talk about what's been going on lately. I think the first thing that I want people to understand is that Mayor Margo has one job, and one job only, as mayor of El Paso. And that's to see that this arena, this sports arena, happens. And it's not going to be to the benefit of El Pasoans, but as I've said before, city administrators, and this was Margo and people before him, made a Faustian pact, a deal with the devil. And who is the devil? The devil is the wealthy investors and the real estate friends in the Borderplex Alliance that Margo is in bed with. I mean, he's a very huge part of this thing. He acts like he doesn't know it, and I've seen him on camera say like, well, who is the Borderplex Alliance? He acts like, he plays ignorant, as if he didn't know who these people are. Well, it's already been proven that he had 10,000 shares in the Borderplex Realty Trust, or I think it may have been called the Paso del Norte Realty Trust or something like that, which means he's invested in downtown and its revitalization at whatever cost it is. Now, his job, like I said, is to make sure the sports arena happens. And he's not going to stop at anything. And, Max and JP can put out all sorts of brilliant and common sense options like the ones they have. And Margo and city administration are just going to basically, shoot them down because of that deal that they made. If you break a deal with the devil, you're going to go straight to hell. And they're going to go to political hell, and they're going to go to all sorts of other kinds of hell, because they're, basically putting the will of the people before the will of their campaign handlers and campaign contributors. And so when they first advertised the fact that the arena was going to happen in Barrio Duranguito, the only people that knew about it were the people that were in that Borderplex group. And guess what? They bought up all sorts of property in the area. There's proof that Woody Hunt signed off on some property that's within that footprint so that he can enrich himself, so that he can get in on the ground floor and make money in his investment. And this arena would be built simply to raise the value of all the property that the rich people here in El Paso own. Paul Foster, the De La Vegas, the Margos, anybody, even Schwartzbein, I think, owns a little bit of land here in the area. So it really has nothing to do with helping, America's second highest property taxed individuals, El Pasoans. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with enriching them. And so you're going to see that Margo and company are just throwing out a lot of red herrings. They've used the one that says like, okay, well, why didn't Bryan just buy all the property? We offered him all the property in downtown. He could have bought it, and he could have restored it, and he could have made something historic out of it. We put it on the table. Well, why didn't he buy it? That's stupid. That's infantile. That's juvenile. That's just basically a diversion that they're using to try to make him look like the bad guy. He's here to preserve our culture, along with Max Grossman, who's putting himself out there on point, putting his name on the line with all these litigations. And this billionaire oil man, as DeMargo likes to refer to him, is a man who's literally got more invested in our culture, in our heritage, than our own people that are here to make El Paso a better place to live. So you know when Margo goes out there and says like, well, why didn't he just buy the property and just redevelop it himself? That's just insane. That's nuts. I mean, nobody's going to do that, and that's not the point of this. That's just their way of deflecting the fact that they are screwing El Paso over and burying our heritage and our culture and our architectural patrimony under millions of tons of concrete and glass. So another red herring that the mayor and city council like to use. Again, I disclaimer: Alexandra Anello is the only one that's got any backbone, any vision, any spine, any understanding. This is a woman who's only spent 4 years in El Paso, and yet she has more understanding of how important our culture is to us. The people that have lived here, like Claudia Ordaz Perez, Henry Rivera, Sam Morgan, Mayor Margo, who doesn't know a lick of Spanish, but he's been here for 30 years, Cassandra Brown, Sissy Lizarraga, Peter Schwartzbein. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. They have lived here, and yet they could care less about our heritage. So leave it to the one that came from Pennsylvania, I think it was, Alexander, to have the backbone to say this is wrong. So the other red herring that Mayor Margo likes to use is, he likes to say that, 75% of El Paso overwhelmingly voted for the 2012 Quality of Life Bond. That's bullshit. Okay, we already know that. That was a bait and switch. We already know that the ballots had no language that referred to a sports arena or Barrio Duranguito, but he got his the one that filled the dirty shoes of ex-city attorney Sylvia Burunda Firth. He got Carla Neiman to put on that same pair of dirty shoes and make them even dirtier by walking through the mud and finding more and more loopholes so that we can get that arena as the mayor wants. So what she did was I don't know how they did this. I didn't think it would happen, but they found a way to overturn Judge Amy Meacham of Austin when she said this was a bait and switch. She heard Joyce Wilson stand up there and say like, yeah, we had a professional sports advisor tell us not to include language for a sports arena because people don't like sports arenas and it's not going to pass muster and it's going to fail at the voting booth. So they basically followed his advice and basically clouded up the wording so that nobody really knew what they were going to get. And instead of getting a multi-purpose cultural entertainment center and additions to the library and things like that, everything is being invested into this one money-hogging sports arena. They overturned her decision that it was a bait and switch and that forbid the city to invest in sports or to make it in any kind of structure that would allow for sports. It's because there's corruption here, and I'm not going to point fingers, but we know it's there under the surface, and they have connections with people that know judges, and some judge said like, well, sports, if you look at the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition, entertainment means sports, so let's just overturn this judge's ruling. So, there you go. That is a kind of dirty pool that this city plays with El Pasoans. Another diversionary tactic. 75% of the people voted for it. Bullshit. Again. Another one is demolition by neglect. They're using this excuse that, well, no, we're not going to revitalize, or we're not going to invest any money in turning Barrio Duranguito into a cultural and heritage area that's mixed use and that is perfect for heritage tourism because all these buildings are in disrepair, and that's what's called demolition by neglect. And this is something that Cassandra Brown and Henry Rivera, they were pawns of DeMargo, and they wrote up a column, that came out in the El Paso Times talking about why, it's not worth investing in because they're all in a state of neglect, and that's called demolition by neglect. Well, let me ask you this. You've got all our billionaires and millionaires that are buying up properties that are just falling apart in downtown. You could say that when Paul Foster bought the Plaza building, that building was in a state of demolition by neglect. The same as these buildings that are in Barrio Duranguito, El Paso's oldest known neighborhood, the first platted neighborhood, that ever was done in El Paso. You could say that those buildings are demolition by neglect. Why not tear those down? Why not demolish those? if that's the case, because there's a double standard that they're using. They're basically using this as a diversionary tactic to make El Pasoans think that these buildings are no good, they're worthless, they're of no historic value. As Max has pointed out several times, there's several iterations of El Paso administrations that have done studies in that area, and there's like 10 or more properties that are eligible for National Historic status. There. So the city is hiding the fact that there is tremendous historic value. Never mind the fact that the last Chinese laundry in El Paso, the last building that has any connection to the Chinese community here at the turn of the century, is slated to be demolished. Never mind the fact that you've got a Trost building, the firehouse, that's also slated to be demolished. And you know, the city likes to say, like, well, we'll incorporate that into the design of the El Paso Sports Arena Fustercluck. Architecturally, that's stupid. The city's lead architect, forget what her name is, but, you know, for her to even agree with that, for her to agree with this idea of just taking that building and glomming it on to a sports arena and saying, hey, look, we're preserving El Paso's history. That's stupid. It's kind of like what's going on with the library and the Mexican American Cultural Center, which were part of the 2012 bond election. It stated on that ballot that we were going to upgrade our libraries and that we were going to create a cultural center. So what have they done? They basically starved the library and the Mexican American Cultural Center, and they're giving them that paltry $5 million for the cultural center, and they're literally taking out, they're cutting the space in the library by half, the downtown flagship main library, by trying to merge the two together, which I've always said and we all know is an insult to El Paso's 83% Latino community, and it's an insult to El Paso's readers and people who know the value of libraries. When you start losing your libraries in a city and you're basically dumbing down your population, it's bad enough because El Paso is one of the bottom 5 literate cities in America. So if you take away the library and you just start saying, like, we're going to shove all the stuff down in the basement, you can go to the basement and enjoy the library there, you're sending a message, and that message is we don't care about our population. All we care about is our wealthy benefactors, and we're going to do everything that we can to appease them. That word that Cassandra Brown is fond of using, appeasing people that put money in their back pocket so they can win their re-election campaigns. By the way, she's not going to win her re-election campaign because I discovered that snippet where she's literally saying, you know, imploring City Council to and the CAD, Central Appraisal District, to go and appraise our properties at higher valuations so that they can get more tax money. That's the easy way that they get our money without our permission, besides certificates of obligation. So that is going to be dogging her and haunting her throughout her entire campaign. Margo, he's not going to win his re-election campaign either because Oscar Leeser's back in the race. He went through cancer or something, so he wasn't able to get re-elected, which he would have been handily. So now that he's coming back into the race, you know, Margo doesn't stand a chance. So his thing is get that arena built. The longer it stays in the netherworlds, you know, just hanging there in purgatory, in litigation purgatory, the less chance he's going to get of getting anything accomplished. I mean, I'll say he has accomplished a couple of things. He was just bragging about another call center, you know, there's absolutely no details about it. He said there's going to be 1,100 new low-skilled jobs that are coming up, you know, somewhere down the road, and there's absolutely no proof of it. These people aren't saying when they're going to open. They're not saying where they're going to open. It's just this nebulous, like, oh, hey, guess what? We're bringing in lots of, you know, corporate companies that are going to pay our taxes. They're not going to pay any taxes because I know the mayor and city council. They're going to give them so many tax breaks, and then these people show up, if they show up, be here for about a year, and then they'll just fly the coop and head off somewhere else. So those are some things that are going on here. You know, one thing that happened that's in the news is that the city is employing their bully tactics again, once again. David Romo and Paso del Sur and all these supporters of Barrio Duranguito that have been beautifying the area, that have created videos that are showing the public and showing our city administration what wonderful things we could do within that area to create a wonderful heritage area and a tourist area that's multi-use, that benefits everybody, not just one group of people. they will continue, the city will continue to bully everybody. And what they did was, first they put up that fence. Remember they put up the fence to keep people out from the buildings? And the next thing after the chain link, then they put up this opaque material so that you couldn't even see the buildings. So what did David Roman and his people do? They put these wonderful banners that replicated the artwork that's of these kids that were in the Socorro internment camps, and they made these large banners out of them, and they hung them all along that fence for people to enjoy and to send that message that Barrio Duranguito is a beautiful place. They're trying to beautify it while the city is trying to uglify it, as David puts it. And so the city comes out and says, like, hey, you guys are in violation of the city code. You got 1 day to take those things down, or we're going to take them down ourselves. So naturally, they didn't pull them down. The city comes over yesterday and brings out the cops in force and a lot of city employees, and they're pulling off these banners and putting them in trucks and leaving. And so that is just another way that the city has continued to try to bully anybody who opposes their plan for an arena. Remember when they poked those holes in the buildings? Those bobcats? And everybody came to the rescue of the buildings to just kind of like, you know, make sure that it didn't happen again. What did the city do? I mean, you had people that were young, old, male, female, gay, in wheelchairs. Every type of El Pasoan was out there trying to protect the buildings. And what does the city do? The city sends legions of policemen clad in riot gear with their billy sticks and with their tasers and who knows what else to surround everybody and paint everybody as some kind of like violent force of protesters. I think they may have arrested one. And then they start barricading everybody within the area. Instead of trying to protect the buildings and helping us, they were basically just putting us in a little makeshift prison. And so they kept people within the prison. They wouldn't let anybody out. They didn't let anybody get any water. They didn't let anybody take a bathroom break or get any food. And there's Cassandra Brown once again. I'm not picking on her. This woman really needs to be exposed for who she is. She's out there buying pizzas and handing the pizzas to all the policemen that were oppressing everybody. And meanwhile, some people were bringing pizza for the protectors, and they tried to give it to them over the fence. And what are the police doing? They slapping the pizza out. It's all on video. And that's the kind of city administration that we have. Sissy Lizarraga walked by. I said, oh, I'm just taking a walk. I didn't know this was going on. Gee, what happened here? Oh, okay, I've got a meeting to go to. See you. Sayonara. There you go. That's our city leadership at work. Spineless, cowards. They lack backbone and courage. Just like the mayor, whenever something bad happens, he's not on location. He's out hiding behind the mic in some undisclosed location somewhere, you know, making his sound bites and talking big. Oh, so I get a little worked up about this, and it's been a while since I've been on, say, Facebook Live, so I've got pent-up frustration and anger that's just coming out of me right now, so just bear with me. So here's Max and here's JP Bryan. While we all know, at least I think we all know, that the city is out of hand going to reject anything that Max and JP Bryan put out there, anything that makes any bit of sense, the city will completely just shoot it down, and then they'll put out their idiotic and stupid excuses for doing that, and even worse suggestions as other options. Okay, now here's what's happening with Max and JP. By doing what they did recently, and by being in the media, and by having the El Paso Times and KTSM and other places actually do a decent job of letting the public know what's going on and what are the options that Max and JP are giving to the city, so that we can get rid of this Fustercluck and just get on with our lives here and have better things going on for El Pasoans. Here's what's happening. They're spelling out various things that they can do, and here it is in a nutshell. Number one, invest $35 million out of those 2012 bonds into redoing the Abraham Chavez Center, because that is a world-class, or could be, entertainment complex. It's there already. Just fix it, you know, get whatever needs to be done, the roof, whatever, and then turn it into what it needs to be. You're going to save $145 million. Never mind the fact that Mayor Margo's already said it's going to cost another $70 million, and that's a conservative. That's a lie. It's not going to be $250 million like he's telling everybody it is. It's going to be more like $350 million. So you can add to the $180 million that we voted on, apparently, as they say, and add all that other, and we're gonna pay for that out of our pocket. But what they're saying is, you invest that $35 million into that building, we're gonna have $145 million left, and let's use that money to finish paying for all of those quality of life bond projects that are over budget and underfunded. And you know there's over 10 of those. San Jacinto Plaza doesn't have toilets. Okay, that one's over budget, underfunded. There's so many different things that are going on here that we can use money. And they keep telling us, well, hey, we've got all these budget constraints, you know, and we can't afford anything, so they're cutting our libraries or cutting our swimming pools. That's all BS again. Okay, that's number one. Okay, and the other thing they are talking about doing is creating a historic overlay, a historic district in the Barrio Duranguito area, so that El Paso can begin to cause that area to flourish. Investment will roll in. There will be all sorts of money available for people that fix up these historic buildings and turn them into small businesses or little museums. You know, we can have this walkable area that's got entertainment, it's got retail, historic, cultural, art galleries, everything. We can have it all right there instead of this massive, massive, giant arena. You know, that's why Paul Foster's building that huge 4 or 5 story parking lot that splits the street and kills the view of some of our historic downtown buildings, because he's banking on the fact that arena is going to be built, so he's already starting to put the parking there. They've got all their eggs in one basket, and they're not about to let go of that basket, these wealthy 1%ers that own, you know, almost all of downtown. Foster's just finished buying 10 more buildings. So we know what's going on here. And the third thing that they wanted to do is they wanted to just say, and this is another common sense thing, I personally believe the arena needs to be killed. It needs to be buried, because it's going to hurt El Pasoans. It's not going to cost anywhere near what they're telling us. It's going to be a money loser from day one, and it is nothing more than something for the rich and something that's going to hurt us. We're already hurt when it comes to our taxes. People are leaving. They're going to Santa Teresa. They're leaving. They're just moving. We're flatlined. Like Rich Wright tells us, our population has flatlined. Just because El Paso's growing out west and east and north doesn't mean that our population is booming. In 5 years, our population has grown like 1.5%, which is terrible. So it's just really not for us. But what they're saying is, okay, number one, the city owns all sorts of property around the airport, just acres and acres and acres of empty property that are just sitting there not benefiting anybody. Lease it. Lease it to those wealthy developers, to the Hunts and the Fosters. If they want a soccer arena, let them pay for it themselves. Let them take, they're billionaires, okay? They know how to make money, and money involves risk. And if you're a businessman worth your salt, you're not going to ask for handouts or corporate welfare, but they're constantly asking because they know they're going to get it. Well, Max and JP are saying, you guys take the risk yourself. Don't involve El Pasoans in it. If you want a soccer arena, you buy the land for it, you build it yourself, you pay for it, and you keep all the profits. And if you lose money, tough bananas. That's your risk, but we're not footing the bill like we are at the baseball park. They promised us it wasn't going to cost us anything. Well, guess what? We're paying lots of money for it. And so let these people pay for their own arena. Let them build it up over there in the airport. And of course, everybody's like, oh, no, that's not going to work, you know, and this and that. And, you know, El Paso Times reached out to the mayor and all sorts of, you know, just virtually everybody on city council. Nobody was to be found. Nobody responded. The only one that responded was, again, Alexandra Anello, the one who hasn't even been in El Paso for like 5-6 years. She's the one that is more El Pasoan than any of these people. And she's the one that said, like, you know what? Why is a mayor, when he keeps crying and whining about the fact that, you know, we're way over budget and we don't have enough money for roads, and if you want money for roads, we got to cut back. If you want money for putting policemen on the street, we got to cut back. Speaking of red herrings, what is the mayor and Sam Morgan and everybody else really fond of saying right now? Well, you know, you tell us where to cut back. You, the public, tell us. where you want us to cut. I mean, if you want paved roads and if you want policemen and if you want, infrastructure improvement, where do we cut back? I'll tell you. Mayor D, hold the line on taxes, Margo. Kill the arena. That's $180 million that we didn't vote for because it was a bait and switch. That is $180 million that you are adding a minimum of $70 million, and I tell you it's going to be $350 million easy. That doesn't even include improving the traffic patterns and building garages in downtown and all of the mess and nightmare that's going to happen out there. That's just the price of it. That's number one. Number two, Children's Museum. Okay, that was a $19.5 million project. Thanks to you, though, it doubled in price with the El Paso Community Foundation, and I don't mind them kicking in the other $20 million. But then all of a sudden, the mayor and city council, or most of the city council, passed $20 million of certificates of obligation that we are going to be on the hook for to make that into a $60 million museum. We didn't approve that. Cut that one back. Let's pave roads with the money that we never approved. 3, the natatorium, fancy word for an Olympic-side swimming pool on the west side in the upper, upscale area of town. You're cutting pools all across the city. Meanwhile, you're putting a pool that was supposed to be $5.2 million, and it turned out to be $15 million, and you guys approved once again for the city of El Paso to pay for all that extra, just so that they can have a $15 million pool that sits 700 people over there. So we can get people from Socorro coming over here and people from San Elizario and Fabens and whatever, to our pool here. That's not going to make El Paso any money. Cut that one back, or it's too late on that one. 4, we've got 5 water parks in a desert community that penalizes its citizens for watering their yards. We stop watering our yards and we end up with this dirt everywhere and weeds. That's why we get our dust storms. We didn't have these dust storms when we had lawns, okay? Now we get penalized to have lawns and to water our lawns and try to keep them green. We have to pay 2 or 3 times the amount of money that we normally pay because we're hitting certain levels with them. And now the city is building 5 mega Disney-like water parks all across El Paso. How much is that going to cost us? In the millions. Cut those out of your plans, okay? Use that money. Instead of cutting our libraries and our literacy centers, instead of cutting our neighborhood pools where, people that can't afford to go to the natatorium can go over here to smaller area pools, cut those things. There's plenty to cut. But you're acting like there's nothing to cut. There's plenty to cut. So anyway, these are the kind of leaders that we're being subjected to. They're abusing us. And they're abusing our ignorance. And I hate to say that, but El Paso is an ignorant city in the sense that people don't get involved. People don't get informed as to what the issues are. That's why I'm doing this, okay? I'm doing this because I'm hoping that you guys can hear this. And I know a lot of you already know what's going on, but share these videos. I've seen impact. I've seen other people like Ben Carnival, who's out there, doing a lot of Facebook Lives himself. He's out there in the mayor's face, confronting him and just embarrassing him by confronting him with the truth. He's telling Sam Morgan, hey, we're going to come after you. And Cassandra Brown with all of this video that we have on you guys, because you promised you weren't going to do any tax increases, and all you're doing now is increase, increase, increase. And so there are a lot of people that are getting involved and doing things. So I just continue to encourage El Pasoans and viewers of these videos and Facebookers to just get involved and do what little you can or what big you can. And let's change the culture here in El Paso. It can be done. So anyway, those are the things that are going on with the El Paso Sports Arena Fustercluck. Thanks for taking time to listen to this, share this video, and let's continue to improve our city and make it a place that we're proud to be a part of, a place with culture, heritage, art, and just beauty. We have it here. We have everything. We have the history. Let's not concrete it. Let's not bury it. Let's work with it. It doesn't take a lot of money. It just takes a lot of effort on the part of each one of us. Thanks a lot, guys. Till next time.